Hi friends, welcome back to Paradise on Pennies. I'm Heather.
I'm Ramsey.
And today we want to talk to you about traveling in Texas. Actually, we're going to be doing a whole series on the channel here since we travel all over the place, primarily in North America. We'll make a video for each place that we go to for anyone out there who's going to be living on the road or even just traveling, so you can get an idea of some of the highlights and the lowlights of each of the places. So like I mentioned, today we wanted to talk about Texas. We recently traveled to Texas. I've driven through it before, but it was just a pass through. So this would be probably about the first time where we've really experienced it and spent a longer amount of time there. And I'd say definitely some of the highlights that we experienced, the highlight was Big Bend National Park. That's probably a highlight you would get for most people that talk about Texas. And it was actually a really beautiful area. It's a desert landscape, might be obvious, but we got to experience it right after rainfall in springtime. And the desert was in bloom, so it was absolutely gorgeous. It smelled amazing. The flowers were all over, and the landscape was really cool to see. And there's mountains and really deep canyons, and you're right at the Rio Grande River. So I'd say that's definitely a must if you're traveling to Texas and you want to see a highlight of Texas. Go down to Big Bend National Park. It did not seem as crowded as some of the national parks. We actually don't go to as many national parks now because of the fact that they are so crowded. It's just a little overwhelming for us, and you know we like peace and quiet. It's harder to find. At that park, it's really cool because they have a network of kind of back roads, gravel roads throughout it. Some of them get a little rough. They even might require four-wheel drive. They're not too bad though, and you can get pretty deep within the park and get some quiet camp spots on your own. So we really liked that about the park. So yeah, that's one highlight. Some other highlights to consider is Texas has some pretty incredible geology to explore if you're into that. So you know, if you're into rockhounding or looking at fossils or looking at rocks and stuff like that, just all kinds of amazing stuff to explore there. So yeah, those are the highlights. And then there's a few other things too, but we had one specific kind of a low light about Texas, and that is we're used to traveling in the West, and so we are used to having access to a lot of public lands. It's pretty important to us if you're living on the road, or even if you're, say, doing like a camping vacation, having access to public lands to camp on is pretty important. And Texas is definitely at a loss for public lands. A lot of it is private ownership, a lot of ranches. So it was very hard for us to find those. I'd say if you're looking for some, you might want to look at some of the public rec sites, which I think are under National Park Service still, although they're not like national parks, but I just think that's the jurisdiction they're under. They are, again, they're just like rec sites like around lakes and reservoirs and things like that. So we found some camping there, some free camping, or like, you know, there's low cost camping around the lakes. And you know, it's around a lake, so it's kind of a good spot to be. Other than that, there were very few. I mean, literally besides Big Bend and those rec sites, we found no other public land. And I believe we were in the part of the state that has the most public land. It sounds like, from talking to folks there, that the rest of the state has even less. So it's very few and far between. That's a really important consideration.
Yeah, so not a lot of spots to sleep for free. So we stayed at a couple rest stops, and the rest stops even aren't that great. Most of them don't even have actual like parking spots for they don't separate the semis and trailers from the cars.
Yeah.
So they're all just like you park in a straight line, and it's really windy there too most of the time. So if you need a place to sleep, the semis usually take all the spots, or the campers. So there's really not a lot of space, but we did find one outside of Fort Stockton, which was the nicest rest stop we've ever been to.
Sounds like they're renovating
amazing.
A lot of the rest stops across the state, so maybe there will be more of these. But yeah, this particular one was one of the new ones. Actually, we talked to the attendant there, and he told us that it was like millions, like $25 million for that one spot for the rest stop, which was crazy.
Yeah, it was very nice though.
It was nice. It's
like a 5-star hotel. You get Wi-Fi from the parking lot.
Had the fanciest bathrooms I've ever seen. it had kind of like a mini museum in it where you could go and yeah, there was stuff about geology and little display cases and
they have a nice walking trail on the outside.
A walking trail to rest stop. That was interesting. Did you say Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
they had
Wi-Fi from the inside and Wi-Fi from the parking lot. So you can just sit in your vehicle because we got stuck kind of in a windstorm.
Yeah, and kind of
on
in
the
a
way
windstorm.
out. So it was like 75 mile an hour gusts. So with the pop-up, it didn't work out well. Yeah. So we actually slept with it popped down.
Popped down, yeah. we left it down. We had to because, yeah, the forecast said like 75 mile an hour gusts, and we were a little frightened about that and being in a pop-up. Actually, if you were pull behind or really anything, I mean, even if we were still in the SUV, that would have been sketchy. We survived, but I get the impression that region across Texas has a lot of windstorms.
Yeah, there's not there's no trees, so everything. And then there was supposed to be some haboobs or their big dust storms coming, but we missed that luckily. But
yeah, so and one other mentionable is the main reason we actually went over there was because it was really the warmest place in the U.S. aside from say going down to Florida, but we typically stick to the west in our travel. So if you were heading in the west in the winter, it's definitely a good place to consider because if you start going to mid to southern Texas like we did, you'll be able to find some winter warmth. And we do a lot around Arizona and places like that, but this year's been exceptionally cold, so we did finally venture down to, it starts getting into southern Texas. I mean, Texas is a huge state. The northern part sounded like it was still cold. So,
and they did have some cool observatories too. They usually have visitor centers you can go walk in and read all their information for free, so that's pretty cool. And it's usually up pretty high, so you get some good views from up there. We went to Mount McDonald Observatory. That one was pretty nice.
Observatory.
So
that's one of them. There are some others. So yeah, if you like astronomy, you're going to get a really dark sky in say Big Bend, and you're going to, there's a few other places too where you can get some nice dark skies and those observatories. If you like history, there is a lot of things to see there regarding history. Again, with history, it's always the good and the bad. If you like geology, there's great opportunities for that. So those are probably the biggest highlights for that state. So we'll leave it with that today, I think, unless you have anything else to add. That is Texas from our perspective. So stay tuned, guys. We will be doing, like I mentioned, videos like this for all the places we go to help you guys out in your travels as well. So until next time, thanks for being here, guys, and take a look out for those videos. If you like this information, go ahead and give the video a like. It helps it get spread out. And if you want to see when we do post another travel update or information about different places or anything else about our crazy life on the road, then just subscribe to the channel and you'll be the first to know. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys.
Bye.